My name is Gabriel. I'm a product manager here at Canonical. It's so good to have you here in our office in this event, which I hope is a great opportunity for you to learn all of those tools that are available today for your deployments, for your companies, for you to go to market faster. Okay, so with that in mind, you already saw some numbers about the adoption of Linux. I just want to show you that even in that segment of Linux for constrained devices, for IoT and gateway, Ubuntu is the go-to option, and maybe that's the reason why you're here. So I don't need to tell you why Ubuntu is such an important platform for companies developing IoT and edge solutions. It's also a really important ecosystem. On top of it, we have so many open source projects that have found a home. On top of it, so many open source projects are building their communities. You take ROS for robotics, PX4 for drones, AutoWare for autonomous cars, NVIDIA Isaac for simulations, and so on. These are communities that are growing on top of Ubuntu, and that is a responsibility that means everything for us, because together we're bringing innovation. Together we are bringing these innovations to the world, both in what you can find on the industry today and what is to come in the future. And that means everything to us. We are what we are because of them. And you know already Ubuntu Desktop. This is your favorite development environment for building your applications. Full GUI integration with no confinement, with no boundaries for your innovation. With every LTS, our desktop team builds the best environment and also brings the best utilities for you to keep improving your productivity. So we're talking about support for Python, Ruby, PHP, Go, the latest Rust toolchain, .NET, OpenJDK, and so on. We also bring security features, like, for example, permission for applications when they are opening. If they want to have access to certain resources in your machine, you can now say, yes, I want you to have access to my camera. Yes, I want you to access to my home directory, and so on. And also improvements in our UX to help you with things as improving the installation with the new Flutter installer and so on. We constantly aim to deliver you the best enterprise-grade innovation platform. You probably also know Ubuntu Server, designed and engineered as the backbone for data centers, public clouds, private clouds. Main difference with Ubuntu Desktop is that it's lightweight because it takes out all the graphic user interface that you need. Just to give you this terminal, just to give you this environment through the terminal. And instead, you can, with Ubuntu Server, host websites, managing networks, backup data, and more of these applications. Just like the desktop team, the server team is managing around 300 packages. And what they want to bring you is the latest Apache, the latest Chrony, the latest NetPlan, support for IPv4, IPv6. On databases, we always try to bring you the most stable version of MySQL, Postgres, and on the latest virtualization tools as well, like QEMU and Libvirt. And of course, we have Ubuntu Core, your deployment OS, your infrastructure to create your production images. Core is not a development platform. Core is not something that you download. Core instead is something that you build with your target application already developed. So what you created on Ubuntu Desktop, you prototype it, you test it, it's ready to go to production. That is the moment that you start creating your Core production image. Core ships the minimum libraries and dependencies that it needs to provide a secure and strictly confined environment with, like we were hearing before, reliable over-the-air updates and rollbacks to allow developers to have that platform for going to the market. And of course, since it's a deployment solution, you can see that Core needs less resources. So this is ideal for constrained devices, low memory, low power. We're talking about devices like security cameras, kiosk applications, lockers, robots, anything that is running on the edge. So whatever you're using, wherever you're using it, if security, compliance, and manageability is what you're looking for, there's a single subscription that allows you to go to market in all of these three operating systems. and that is Ubuntu Pro. Ubuntu Pro is our most comprehensive subscription for open source software security. Everything you need in one package. So here are the 4 main pillars that you see on Ubuntu Core. And we were going to go through each of these elements. What we are offering you in terms of security and compliance, what we are offering you in terms of device management, performance tools, and the real-time kernel that we're offering you, and enterprise support. Okay? So first, let's talk about our ESM support. So let's take as an example what is happening today with Ubuntu Desktop 2004. As you know, the standard window of support for any Ubuntu Desktop LTS is of 5 years. So next year, as you can see on the screen, we're going to have the end, what we call the end of that support, around April time, meaning that you will stop getting that security maintenance that we do for everything that is in Ubuntu main. Because some of these deployments that you are doing require that extra length of support, we offer companies the option of what we call ESM, Expanded Security Maintenance. And that is basically giving you 5 extra years on top of those initial 5s. So with that, you have your window of 10 years. And you can extend the life of 2004 until 3004, until around April of that year, right? But we have also seen and getting requests from our users that those 10 years is not enough. So recently we announced legacy support, giving you year 11 and 12 as well, for you to be able to deploy devices for that, matching the lifetime of your devices. As you can see, matching the lifetime of your hardware on the field. On contrast, Ubuntu Core out of the box gives you those 10 years of standard security maintenance, and of course you can also expand that with your legacy support. But this is only what we're talking about, the infrastructure, the main elements that make Ubuntu. What about the rest? What about the rest of applications that you're using? What about the rest of the packages that you're bringing the moment that you're creating your specific app for a robot, your specific app for a medical device, and so on? We knew that we could help you more, and that's why last year or 2 years ago, we announced the security maintenance for everything that is in Universe. So we're talking about more than 23,000 packages that are there. Some of these packages, as you can see on the screen, Python, Qt, OpenCV, you also have access to ROS and so on. All of these packages that, again, if you are building with them, using them from the Ubuntu Universe repo, you now are getting security maintenance for that. And basically that means that we're looking every CVE that are raised against one of those packages and patching them. And our package, in average, is less than 24 hours compared to what it could take you if you start doing that on your own, that you can get a picture of how much that will take you, or the expense that will take you to develop that infrastructure and knowledge in-house, okay? So all of those things, all of this support come out of the box as well as part of Ubuntu Pro. And why is this important? Like we were talking about these different certifications and these different standards. Why is this important? Because sometimes when you are going to a specific customers, they will ask you to be compliant with things like this. The federal government will ask you to be compliant with things like this. The medical sector will ask you to be compliant with things like this. So Ubuntu goes through rigorous process for certification. We basically work with agencies in order to get our binaries certified and make those binaries and those cryptographic models, sorry for that, available to you. And all of that is also part of Ubuntu Pro. The same idea applies. You have a customer that is asking you, I need you to be compliant with this. Ubuntu Pro will give you access to those binaries so you can be able to supply your solution to them. Moving from security, but still linked to security, we have our landscape tool for system management. Landscape is one of our oldest products. It was launched back in 2006, and it continued to grow, helping users, helping companies around the world. Landscape is a system management tool designed to help you manage and monitor your Ubuntu system from a unified platform, as you can see on the picture. It provides you with this system administration option for the deployment. This is the web portal. It also provides you some APIs, enabling functions, as you can see, of monitoring. You can see how many devices are connected to your landscape server. You can see how many of them require some security updates. You can see how them require updates in general. So now you can scale this concept to your fleet of devices. All of your devices can be connected to this infrastructure. All of these devices can give you this data. And you can leverage all of that today, because this tool is available for you as part of the Ubuntu Pro subscription. So like we were saying, you can monitor the status of your fleet. You can get alerts when something requires a security update. You can get even the ability for you to run scripts and so on. We can spend more than 30 minutes talking about landscape. That's why we have a dedicated session about that with our telemetry engineer director. Michael will take us through some of these examples and some of the great things that you can do, such as zero-touch provisioning of your device. One single image, one single application that will connect you to your landscape server, and then you can start provisioning your devices on the field. It's such a great tool. If we move from that, if we move from everything that is device management, you will also get access to some of our performance tools and real-time capabilities. As part of Ubuntu Pro, you get access to our real-time kernel that was also announced last year. During this afternoon, after the break, Eduardo will take you through an explanation of our real-time offering and how you can, with a simple command, Pro enable real-time, get access to this kernel and start fine-tuning your system in order to get the requirements that you need for deterministic response. Sorry. You also get Live Patch as part of your Ubuntu Pro subscription. In a nutshell, Live Patch helps you with applying higher critical Linux CVEs to the kernel. This system, what it's allowing you to do is not having to update the kernel on the go once these vulnerabilities have been identified. Instead, you will be able to schedule when I want this to be applied while still being compliant, because the patch is already live there in your kernel on the field. As you know, companies spend more than 60% of their time with these unplanned maintenance schedules, and that is a real struggle. And now if you think about your critical infrastructure and the need to be ready to apply security updates when your team is not on site, when your team has already tested the update, is a challenge. Therefore, tools like this help you not only be compliant with some of those cybersecurity regulations that I showed you in the previous slide, but it's also going to reduce the amount of IT administrator time that you need to put in order to patch your fleet of devices, in order to patch and be compliant. Finally, we also offer enterprise support, 24/7 enterprise support, the ability for you to have phone and ticket support for troubleshooting and bug fixing whenever something breaks in your environment. You also have access to managed services, so you get a special assistance from Canonical engineers for specific software stacks, and also convenient licensing and pricing, which, as you heard, includes a one-time fee per device as well, covering the 10 years of support. All of this with Ubuntu Pro. And you can soon get Ubuntu Pro as well with your preferred ODM or OEM. The moment that you are buying your hardware from a laptop to an embedded board is the moment that you can ask your vendor, please, I would like it to have as well Ubuntu Pro. That will give you access to all of these subscriptions out of the box from the get-go, plus the fact that it's Ubuntu certified device. As you have experienced, the moment that you get Ubuntu and you turn on your computer, you want the best experience there out of the box. You don't want to be struggling with drivers. You don't want to be struggling going to questions of how do I install this package, why my touchscreen is not working, why my Bluetooth is not working. That is what we're doing through the certification program, right? We are helping you get, from the moment that you buy, a device that is fully certified with all the different flavors that we cover of Ubuntu Desktop, Server, and Core. So you get the best experience since the moment that you buy them. And of course, you can get Ubuntu Pro. You can also get Ubuntu Pro with your free subscriptions. So today, if you want, even right now, you can go to Ubuntu Pro, the website, and you can get up to 5 free licenses for you to try all of these tools, for you to try landscape, for you to try LivePy, for you to try the security maintenance for main and universe. All of this is available to you, to the community, of course, and you can start using it and testing it and providing us feedback as well. That's all. I think that was a quick way of getting you through all the Pro things. Do you have any questions? It's great if you don't have questions. Please go ahead.
You spoke about snaps. How easy is it to publish new snaps?
The question is about snaps, and snaps is our packaging format for deploying embedded applications. I will cover that in more detail in my next presentation of the process of how do you package and the process of how do you publish them. But how it is integrated with all of these things. At the end of the day, when we are talking about security maintenance, and this slide is the moment that you have experience already with containers. How many of you have used Docker here? Perfect. So you understand the concept of having a package, and you understand the concept of bundling dependencies. With Ubuntu Pro and this feature of security maintenance for Universe, what you're going to be doing is bundling packages that are coming from our ESM PPA, meaning that every single time that we publish, there's a CVE for OpenCV. OpenCV is for doing image recognition and so on, right? The moment that there's a CVE for that, your application can be updated, your Docker container can be updated, your rock can be updated, your snap can be updated in order to get that CVE, in order to get that patch and help you be compliant with things like we were discussing, the CRA and so on. You need to show evidence that you are able to patch, your devices that are deployed. We were talking during the introductions about some companies not being worried about not being connected to the internet, saying that that is their way of being compliant, that is the way of being secure for their users, just not being connected to the internet. And of course, that is not enough. You need to show as well how are you going to be able to patch your devices. So this concept will touch later on the snap processing, but already you can draw lines between your Docker deployments and how you can start consuming these great security updates that, again, are available for you today. Any other questions? Please.
How does the Ubuntu Core compare to Yocto in terms of ease of use and versatility?
Perfect. So now we're going to, again, I will be covering in the next session more about Ubuntu Core, like the process, what is behind it, and the architecture, what are the benefits. But in a nutshell, what have you experienced today from Ubuntu Desktop and Ubuntu Server? You have experienced a company like Canonical being behind it, supporting it, give you that long-term maintenance from day one, right? From day one, you got the usability out of the box the moment that you install Ubuntu. After 3, 4, 5 years, you still get those security updates and so on. That is what we're doing with Ubuntu Core and how it compares, and what is the benefit that it's giving you. Think about it. It's still a minimal set of packages, but comes with the canonical backup, meaning that you, when you're playing with Yocto, at the end of the day, you will have to maintain it. You are the owner of that image. Welcome to the game. Now you are also distributing your own operating system. And therefore, you will either have to establish the resources in-house to manage that, to provide the security updates, to provide all the infrastructure that is needed to update those images that you're deploying. You can absolutely do that if you have the resources. What we're trying to help companies here is that by getting Ubuntu Core, again, we're going to explore into detail what is Ubuntu Core after the break. By getting Ubuntu Core, we take care of the maintenance. We take care about updating the kernel, updating the core packages that are there that are needed for your application, allowing you to spend more time focusing on your application, focusing on your AI model for computer vision or your application for, I don't know, smart lockers that you saw in this application, right? That is one of the main benefits compared to Yocto. Us taking care of the maintenance of your operating system while you keep innovating and worrying about the real challenges of having to deploy devices, because we all know that doing these things comes with a lot of challenges. So having to worry about the OS, I don't think that is one of your biggest priorities. Any other question?
Well, regarding the process, the zero-touch deployment, how do you process that? Do you bundle the core OS with the landscape app or landscape agents? Or what?
I would love to take all of the time from Michael's presentation. Landscape. So for those of you that don't know, we're talking about zero-touch provisioning. Think about your company. Think about you having different type of devices. You have a same hardware that is going to give you application A and B. But for another vendor, for another user, sorry, you will be given application C. And for a third one, you will be given A and D, okay? Instead of you having to have 3 different images that you have to maintain, you have one image with one application that is connected to the landscape server. Meaning that in your factory time, instead of having to spend a lot of time with 3 different images, having to flash 3 different images, you flash one single image. That is going to reduce time in factory. For those of you that doesn't know, spending time when I'm talking about factory line, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of devices, right? It's really expensive, that process, okay? So having one image will make your life much easier. So the zero-touch provisioning is a process that, for instance, in Ubuntu Core is, yes, having the landscape agent as your single image, only one image, Ubuntu Core plus your landscape agent. Later on, connected to landscape, grouping your devices. That set of device that was shipped there is group 1. That set of device is group 2, and so on. So group 1, I want it to be installed with these different applications, A and B. This one will get C, and this one will get D. All of those things, you can do it with landscape, and all of those things will be explained by Michael later on in this afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, so you have another reason to stay here with us.
The good talks at the end, so it's worth staying.
Or you can talk during the break as well. Okay, any other question? No? Perfect. So in that case, please go enjoy the break, and we will be back with the AI presentation with more insight about Ubuntu Core. Thank you.